What's up, y'all? Hope y'all holiday went well, man. Been a very busy weekend for me, so me cranking out this video is, trust me, this is me stretching myself thin, but nonetheless, we are discussing the Sony A7rv today in this video. It's kind of like my first impressions of it, and just kind of like, yo, would this be the camera that I would want to get over my Sony A7S III with all the new features that it's had? So we're gonna go over some of my favorite features about the camera, and then one thing about the camera I'm like, So here we go. Now, before we start, for all my OGs in the building right now, man, y'all already know the drill. Make sure y'all like the video, give it a thumbs up, comment we in the building, let me know y'all in here. And for my newcomers, and for some of my OGs who haven't done it yet, make sure you follow me everywhere IG at Brookssmedia with 2 S's. If you ain't add the S, you ain't spelling it right. So here we go. I think the first thing that stand out for me about this camera, now y'all, some of y'all gonna call cap, but if you ain't used the camera yet, don't call cap. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But the standout feature me on this camera for real, it's gonna be the IBIS. Man, I don't know how Sony did it, but the Sony A7rv has GH5 level IBIS. And to me, the GH5 is still like one of the GOAT cameras with IBIS. So the fact that the Sony A7rv, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they have 8.5 stops of IBIS. And then I think if you pair that with an old, optical steady shot lens, that was hard to get out, I think you even get like even way better performance IBIS. We're gonna say damn near probably get to like 10.5 to 11 stops of IBIS just in that one body, like with a 24-105. Now I didn't test it out with the 24-105. I was actually testing out with the GM 24-70 Mark II, which is just a phenomenal lens. I cannot wait to get my hands on that lens. Sony, if you want to send me one, I mean, shit. But being able to walk handheld with these shots and actually honestly just get rid of using a gimbal, like some of these shots that y'all see me doing in the BTS, it literally looks like I'm just, just floating on just floating with the camera, man. I mean, honestly, the IBIS on that camera is insanely good. It's ridiculously good. So we recording? We are recording. This is definitely GH5 level autofocus right here, like 100%. The IBIS in the A7rv is probably next to the screen, probably my #2 favorite feature on this camera so far. Now, another thing, this is a very minor thing that we're gonna touch on, because I didn't do like a lot of testing with it, just because there is already so many features about it and so many videos about it. There's the autofocus is great, but it definitely have its caveats. To me, the autofocus is damn near like too good, because even if you have it like in zone autofocus, if the camera recognizes a subject in there, right, and it didn't have to be a face, it could just be like a damn near a pole, it would still try to grab focus on that, even if your box is not around it. So, now I know I didn't fine tune, an autofocus setting on my man's camera. Make sure y'all follow my man's Mac Julian. That's my partner and everything. But we didn't really, it was too cold outside to be sitting here trying to fiddle with autofocus settings. But again, from what I did see, the autofocus definitely is good. It can track you like from a long distance. Like, if you too far and it can't find your face, it'll put a box around your body, then your head and your eyes. So like the autofocus is phenomenal, right? But again, talking about Sony cameras and autofocus is kind of like, okay, we know they have good autofocus. Like, what else, fam? So we're moving on. So #2 is going to be the tilt screen. I really wish my A7S III had this tilt screen, because it is phenomenal. Being able to like just lift your camera screen up or face it down or pull it out, pull it away from the HDMI cable, anything like that, like when you're trying to turn your screen. Anybody know who had an A7S III, you know what I'm talking about. If you have your flip screen out and you like try to turn it, got an HDMI cable, you know what I mean? Like you have to kind of like turn it a certain way, versus with the A7rv, you can just put it away from the body as much as you need to and then turn it, and it just works phenomenally well. Like the tilt screen, the 4-axis screen, whatever you want to call it, man, that screen on a Sony A7rv, that needs to be on every single camera moving forward. I know Panasonic set the tone with it, but I feel like Sony can, continue the trend, baby. Let's keep on copying, whatever you want to call it, but that tilt screen is fire. Now, we're moving to my last favorite thing about this camera, and, it's almost like, it's a small thing, we can call it small, but it still is, I like it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I like it. And that is going to be the new menu. And when I say new menu, I really mean like the new display for when you're recording. Like, as you all know, on the Sony A7S III, when you're recording something, I can just show you all right now. As you all can see, it has like, all of the stuff like in front of you. You know what I mean? Like all your stuff, and it has all this. It's taking up a lot of screen real estate essentially. But with the new Sony display, if you want to call it a new menu display, it has everything. It actually gives you like, just a better percentage like in the battery itself. Everything just looks so much cleaner. It just doesn't look as like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like convoluted. Is that the word? If that's not the word, it's gonna be the word today. But it just doesn't, it doesn't look as messy. And this is something that, again, a firmware update, Sony, that's all I'm asking for, B. And like, I'm not asking you for too much. I'm asking for a firmware update. Like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about practice? What are we talking about right now? It's a firmware update, B. Come on, man. Here is the thing that I'm like, So we went over the 3 favorite things about this camera that I've received my first impressions, right? Like it's, you know, obviously it has great autofocus, but the thing that stood out was the IBIS, the tilt screen, and like the new menu display setup, right? But the thing that I was like, and I think it's because of the way YouTubers be sitting here just like, you know, just champion this new resolution thing. And if your camera has this resolution, being able to shoot 8K and all that, I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't tell the difference. So what I'm gonna do is to kind of give you all a blind camera test to see which one of these are shot in 8K on a Sony A7rv and then which one of these are shot in 4K on a Sony A7S III, just to see if you can tell the difference between which clip is which. Now I know y'all probably thinking like, well, Sean, you know, if I'm watching it on my screen on my cell phone or, you know, like a tablet, obviously if I'm not watching an 8K display, I'm not gonna be able to tell the difference. That's my point. That's my point. Like right now, the chase and the hype is 8K, 8K, 8K. But the fact that you can't tell the difference unless you have like this big large ass display or some type of 8K monitor or something like that, you're not being able to get the actual quality difference, especially if you're doing something like social media ads. Like I hear cropping in, but you can still crop in on 4K and get 1080p, which is still more than fine for cell phones. So right now we're gonna do a blind camera test between 8K and 4K, and I just want you to comment which camera is which. Camera A or camera B for 8K or 4K each clip. Now, as you all can see, like you can't tell the difference. So now that we've actually looked at it, right? Camera A was 8K and camera B was 4K, which was the Sony A7S III. So, you know, that is, you see what I'm saying? Like you can't tell the difference. And, you know, people be sitting here saying, oh, you're downscaling from, you know, the downscale sensor coming off the Sony A7rv compared to the Sony A7S III. It's like, there's no competition. You know, the fact that my sensor is downscaling from a 7K or 8K sensor down to 4K is amazing. Yeah, I hear all that but can you tell the difference, right? My question is to you, and I think people need to actually ask themselves this, by having 8K, are you fundamentally changing the way you shoot? And I think right now 8K is just a hype. It's just like megapixels, right? So if you're gonna be sitting here using 8K, 1, are you prepared to handle more storage on your computer? 2, you know, is it fundamentally changing the way you shoot? Like now that you have 8K, you have the ability to recrop. Are you not bringing 2 camera bodies anymore? No. So if you're already gonna have 2 camera bodies, with one with a wider angle and then one with a tighter angle, what are the benefits that you're getting from 8K? And if you are scaling in something to kind of get like a crop in, something like that, I guarantee you, like if it's a smooth, fast zoom transition, no one's gonna be able to tell the difference. If you are just doing it like for a quick shot, no one's gonna be able to tell the difference. Hell, we're able to splice cell phone footage in with, you know, cinema camera footage or mirrorless camera footage with no problem. But you're telling me that 8K is just like, it's something that's needed right now? I totally disagree. I think 8K is one of those things that's overhyped, and we need to kill that noise until we kind of get up to that level. 4K is not even a standard yet, so let's get there first and then discuss 8K later. But you know, those are my thoughts right now on the Sony A7rv. Yes, I think it's a phenomenal camera. I think that one of the greatest features that is on it is the tilt screen and the IBIS. Everything else is like, you know, your Sony A7S III still has great autofocus. It still keeps things in focus, you know, all that good stuff. So, you know, if you're buying this camera specifically for the autofocus, I don't really think you gain anything from that. But if you are like a handheld shooter and you want that tilt screen, you want that IBIS, then yes, I think it'd be a great upgrade, depending on what camera you're coming from. So with that being said, man, make sure y'all follow me on IG again at Brookssmedia with 2 S's. I appreciate y'all for watching. If there's any more other cameras that you all want me to take a look at and kind of compare to the Sony A7S III or this test out so you can hear my thoughts, please comment down below what's your favorite camera that you want me to check out. With that being said, man, I'm out. Deuces.